Let's face it, bicycle crunches can feel horrible. Your neck muscles may ache, your back can arch.
Research has shown that doing repetitive flexion and extension exercises like crunches and sit-ups can actually cause lower back pain.
If you ask 10 people how to get better abs, chances are most of them will give you the same answer: do more crunches. And honestly, it makes sense, right? Crunches have been the go-to ab exercise for decades. They are simple, require no equipment, and you can feel your abs working almost immediately. But here is the problem: just because an exercise is popular doesn't mean it's the best option. Now, this isn't one of those videos claiming crunches are useless, because they are not. Crunches can strengthen your abs, and for many people they are perfectly fine. But if your goal is to build a stronger, more functional core, there may be better ways to do it. So in this video, we're going to look at what the science says about crunches, where they work, where they fall short, and which exercise may be a smarter choice if you want a stronger core and a healthier back. To understand why crunches became the king of ab training, we need to go back a few decades. During the fitness boom of the 80s and 90s, workout magazines, TV programs, and home fitness videos all pushed the same message: if you wanted visible abs, you needed to do crunches, a lot of crunches. And it's easy to see why. They are simple, anyone can learn them in seconds, you don't need equipment, and perhaps most importantly, they create that familiar burning sensation in your stomach that makes you feel like you are working hard. The exercise also seems logical. You want to train your abs, so you perform a movement that directly bends your torso and targets the six-pack muscle. Over time, crunches became the default recommendation in almost every workout plan. The issue is that as researchers started studying the core more closely, they realized something important. Your core isn't just there to bend your spine. A large part of its job is actually preventing movement, stabilizing your torso, and protecting your lower back. And that's where things start to get interesting. When most people think about abs, they are thinking about the rectus abdominis, the muscle that creates the six-pack appearance. Crunches definitely train that muscle. When you lift your shoulders off the floor, the rectus abdominis contracts to flex the spine, which is exactly what it's designed to do. So yes, crunches work, but the core is much more than a six-pack. You also have the obliques on the sides of your torso and deeper muscles, like for example the transverse abdominis, which acts almost like a natural weightlifting belt around your waist. These muscles help stabilize your spine and keep your body controlled while you move. Research comparing different abdominal exercises found that crunches strongly activate the rectus abdominis, but stability-based exercises often recruit a wider range of core muscles at the same time. In other words, crunches train one important part of the system. Other exercises train more of the system together. That's a big difference, because in real life, your core rarely works by repeatedly bending your spine. Most of the time, it's working to keep your spine stable while the rest of your body moves. Another reason researchers became interested in crunches is what happens to the spine during repeated flexion. Every time you perform a crunch, your spine bends forward. Again, that isn't automatically bad. The human body is designed to move. The concern appears when that movement is repeated hundreds or even thousands of times over long periods. Biomechanics research found that repeated spinal flexion can increase the stress on the intervertebral discs, especially when large amounts of volume are performed over time. Now, let's be clear, this doesn't mean crunches cause back injuries. Millions of people do crunches without problems. What it does mean is that if there are exercises capable of training the core effectively while placing less repetitive stress on the spine, they may be worth considering. And that's exactly what many coaches and researchers began asking. One reason crunches remain so popular is because they are tied to several fitness myths that simply refuse to disappear. The first myth is that more reps automatically mean better abs. They don't. Muscles respond to tension and progressive challenge, not just endless repetition. The second myth is even more common. Crunches burn belly fat. Unfortunately, that's not how fat loss works. Researchers had participants performing abdominal exercises for weeks while measuring abdominal fat levels. Despite strengthening their abs, they did not significantly reduce body fat. This means that you can't choose where your body loses fat. Fat loss depends largely on overall energy balance, not on training a specific body part. And then there is the classic: if it burns, it's working. That burning sensation is mostly fatigue. It's not necessarily a sign that you are getting a better training stimulus. Some highly effective core exercises don't create much burn fat at all, yet they can still produce excellent results. So if crunches aren't necessarily the best option, what should you do instead? A large review looking at muscle activation during core exercises found that movements focused on stability often recruit multiple core muscles simultaneously. Let's look at a few examples. Planks are probably the most obvious alternative. Instead of repeatedly bending the spine, you resist movement. Your abs, obliques, and deep rest stabilizers all work together to keep your body in position. That's much closer to how the core functions during everyday activities and sports. Dead books may look simple, but they're incredibly effective. By moving your arms and legs while keeping your torso stable, you train the core to do one of its primary jobs, resisting unwanted movement. They also tend to be very friendly on the lower back. As we have seen before, the review also noted that when you include exercises that involve free weights or multi-joint movement patterns, like squats or lunges for example, many core muscles are activated simply because the torso must stay stable while limbs move around it. This means that exercises you already do for full body strength, when programmed correctly of course, can also be excellent for your core, not just ab isolation movements. That's one reason strong athletes often have well-developed core despite spending very little time doing dedicated ab workouts. So, are crunches bad? No. They are simply not the miracle ab exercise many people believe them to be. Crunches can strengthen the front of your abs and can absolutely have a place in a training program. The problem is when they become the only thing you do. So what's the takeaway? Crunches can be part of your routine, but they shouldn't be your only core exercise. To build a stronger, safer, and more functional core, include exercises that train your muscles to stabilize the spine, resist rotation, and control movement, like planks, dead books, and pull-off presses. In other words, a smarter approach isn't about doing hundreds of crunches. It's about training your core intelligently, safely, and effectively, so it works for you in everyday life and athletics performance. At the end of the day, the goal shouldn't just be getting a six-pack. The goal should be building a core that is strong, resilient, and useful both inside and outside the gym. So that would be for today's video. If you are new here, Applied Human Lab is where science meets real results. Because most people don't lack effort, they lack the right information. So if you want to stop guessing and start understanding, make sure you subscribe and stick around for the next videos. See you soon.